It's late Friday night in 1960, and families across America are gathering around their black and white television sets as Rod Serling's unmistakable voice invites them into another dimension. For 5 seasons, The Twilight Zone became appointment television, terrifying viewers with stories that were equal parts science fiction, horror, and social commentary. Created by the legendary Rod Serling, this anthology series didn't just scare us. It made us think, question, and lie awake at night, wondering what we'd do in those impossible situations. The show became a cultural phenomenon, spawning countless imitators, but never quite being matched. Today, we're counting down the 13 scariest episodes that still haunt us decades later. If you grew up watching these episodes in reruns or discovered them on streaming, do us a favor and hit that like button and subscribe, because we're about to take a trip through television's most unsettling neighborhood. Number 13, The After Hours. Mannequins come alive. When a woman realizes she's actually a department store mannequin who briefly gets to experience life as a human, the existential dread hits different. Anne Francis delivers a genuinely unsettling performance as Marcia White, who discovers her entire existence is a shared rotation among the store's displays. What makes this 1960 episode particularly effective is how Serling builds the tension. Marcia's growing panic as she's trapped in the store after hours, the empty floor, the slow reveal that all the mannequins know her. The final twist, where she accepts her fate and returns to frozen stillness, carries an eerie resignation that's somehow more disturbing than outright horror. Director Douglas Hise used actual mannequins on set, and Francis later recalled how genuinely creeped out the cast felt filming in that environment. The episode taps into that primal fear of being watched by inanimate objects, something that resonates even today. Number 12, Living Doll, Talky Tina's Vendetta. Before Chucky terrorized audiences, there was Talky Tina, and honestly, she might be even more terrifying. Telly Savalas plays an abusive stepfather who finds himself targeted by his stepdaughter's new talking doll. The genius of this 1963 episode lies in its simplicity. The doll's threats are delivered in the same sweet, mechanical voice used for pleasant phrases. "My name is Talky Tina, and I'm going to kill you," becomes one of television's most chilling lines precisely because of that tonal disconnect. Writer Charles Beaumont based the story on his own struggles with a malfunctioning toy, but Serling elevated it into a meditation on domestic abuse and karmic justice. The doll was an actual talking Tina toy manufactured by Mattel, and June Foray provided Tina's voice. Yes, the same actress who voiced Rocky the Flying Squirrel. That juxtaposition of wholesome and homicidal makes Tina unforgettable. Number 11, The Masks, Faces of Greed. Mardi Gras masks that permanently transform horrible people into physical manifestations of their inner ugliness. This is The Twilight Zone at its most poetically horrific. In this 1964 episode, a dying wealthy man forces his greedy relatives to wear grotesque masks all night if they want their inheritance. By dawn, their faces have become the masks. The vain daughter is hideously ugly, the arrogant son-in-law has the face of a pig, and so on. Robert Keith plays the vindictive patriarch with such bitter satisfaction that you almost root for his revenge. What elevates this beyond simple morality play is how writer Rod Serling makes us complicit. We want these awful people punished, making their transformation satisfying and disturbing simultaneously. The makeup effects were genuinely unsettling for 1960s television, and the final reveal, with each family member catching sight of themselves in mirrors, plays like a horror film. This was one of the last episodes Serling wrote for the series, and it shows his mastery of turning internal ugliness external. Number 10, The Invaders, Silent Terror. 22 minutes of almost no dialogue, just a woman alone in a farmhouse battling tiny alien invaders, and it's absolutely riveting. Agnes Moorehead delivers a tour de force performance in this 1961 episode, conveying terror, determination, and exhaustion entirely through physical acting. We watch her fight these small creatures with increasingly desperate measures: brooms, axes, anything she can grab. The sound design does most of the work, with the aliens, the high-pitched communication and spacecraft noises building unbearable tension. Then comes the twist that recontextualizes everything. The aliens are actually human astronauts from Earth, and the woman is a giant inhabitant of another planet defending her home. Writer Richard Matheson crafted this reversal brilliantly, forcing viewers to recognize we'd been rooting for the invader all along. Director Douglas Hyes shot Moorehead from low angles to make her seem enormous without revealing the trick. The episode asks uncomfortable questions about perspective, colonization, and who the real monsters are. Pretty heavy themes for network television in 1961. Number 9. The Howling Man, the Devil in a Cell. An American traveler stumbles upon a monastery where monks have imprisoned a howling prisoner they claim is the devil himself. Naturally, the traveler doesn't believe them and sets the man free. This 1960 episode, based on Charles Beaumont's story, works because John Carradine plays the imprisoned devil with such convincing anguish and humanity that we understand why someone would free him. The twist, that he really was Satan, and his release brings about World War II, carries genuine moral weight. Robin Hughes plays the conflicted traveler who makes a catastrophic mistake out of misplaced compassion. The episode resonates because it explores how evil can disguise itself as victimhood and how our best intentions can unleash terrible consequences. The monastery setting, shot in shadowy black and white, gives everything a gothic atmosphere that's pure nightmare fuel. When the devil transforms from pitiful prisoner to his true form, the effect is genuinely startling. The ending, where the same mistake happens again, suggests humanity is doomed to repeat its worst errors. Number 8, Night Call, Beyond the Grave. A lonely, invalid woman receives mysterious phone calls in the night, with only wind sounds and crackling on the line. This 1964 episode starring Gladys Cooper is a masterclass in building dread from almost nothing. The calls become more frequent, more insistent, until finally a voice breaks through. Her dead husband, calling from beyond the grave. The twist, she'd been cruel to him in life, and the calls are coming from a downed telephone wire lying across his cemetery plot. Transforms the story from ghost tale to guilt-driven nightmare. Richard Matheson wrote this adaptation of his own story, and director Jacques Tourneur brings the same atmospheric touch he gave to classic horror films. What makes it scary isn't the supernatural element, but the psychological horror of unresolved guilt. Cooper's performance captures a woman slowly unraveling as her past literally won't leave her alone. The phone, that everyday object, becomes an instrument of terror. Every ring a reminder that some debts follow us beyond death. If you're enjoying this trip through television's most terrifying neighborhood, drop a comment telling us which Twilight Zone episode gave you nightmares as a kid. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? We've got more nostalgic deep dives coming your way. Number 7, The Dummy, Ventriloquist's Nightmare. Cliff Robertson plays a ventriloquist, convinced his dummy, Willie, is alive and trying to destroy him. This 1962 episode taps into that primal unease we feel around ventriloquist dummies, those lifeless faces with their carved grins and glass eyes. What starts as possible mental illness becomes genuinely ambiguous as strange occurrences pile up. Is Willie really moving on his own? Are those threats coming from the performer's fractured psyche or something darker? The final twist, where the ventriloquist becomes the dummy and Willie becomes human, is presented with such matter-of-fact horror that it hits like a freight train. Writer Rod Serling based this on a draft by Lee Polk, but heavily revised it to explore themes of control, identity, and artistic obsession. Robertson later said the dummy genuinely unnerved him during filming. Willie's blank stare and frozen smile were always in his peripheral vision. The episode influenced countless horror stories about malevolent puppets, but few have matched this one's psychological depth. Number 6, The Hitch-Hiker, Death Follows. A woman driving cross-country keeps seeing the same hitchhiker on the side of the road, in Pennsylvania, then Ohio, then further west. Inger Stevens delivers an increasingly panicked performance as she realizes this hitchhiker is impossible, following her across state lines, appearing where no one could travel that fast. This 1960 episode, adapted by Rod Serling from a Lucille Fletcher radio play, builds existential dread with every mile. The hitchhiker never speaks, never threatens. He just keeps appearing, a grim reminder of something our protagonist refuses to accept. The twist that she died in an accident back east and the hitchhiker is death itself, patiently waiting for her to realize her fate, transforms a road trip into a meditation on mortality. Leonard Strong plays the hitchhiker with silent, implacable patience. The repetition of her seeing him again and again creates a nightmarish loop. When she finally calls her mother and learns the truth, Stevens' devastation feels heartbreakingly real. It's scary because it suggests death might not be instantaneous. There might be this awful moment of denial before acceptance. Number 5, 22 Morgue Dreams. A dancer recovering in a hospital has recurring nightmares about going down to the morgue, where a nurse tells her, "Room for one more, honey." Based on a real urban legend that author Bennett Cerf had shared on television, this 1961 episode delivers genuine chills, despite its brevity. Barbara Nichols plays the exhausted performer whose dreams become increasingly vivid until she's not sure what's real. The morgue nurse, played by Arlene Sachs, delivers that one line with such eerie, flat affect that it burrows into your brain. The twist. The dancer later hears those exact words from a flight attendant and refuses to board a plane that subsequently crashes, validates the premonition while raising disturbing questions about fate. Rod Serling wrote this adaptation, understanding that sometimes the scariest stories are the ones with no explanation. The episode influenced horror cinema for decades, particularly the idea of death, sending warnings we ignore at our peril. The morgue set, with its cold tile and wheeled gurneys, creates clinical horror that's somehow worse than gothic atmosphere. Number 4, the lateness of the hour, artificial family. A young woman discovers that her seemingly perfect family, parents and servants, are actually all robots created by her inventor father. This 1960 episode stars Inger Stevens in a performance of growing horror as she realizes nothing in her life is real. What makes it particularly unsettling is how her father, played by John Hoyt, sees nothing wrong with having replaced human connection with artificial servants who never age, never leave, never change. When the daughter demands he destroy them to force the family to live authentically, he agrees. But the twist is devastating. She herself is a robot, just a more advanced model, and he simply replans her programming to accept her role. This erasure of personality, the casual way he wipes away her autonomy, makes this one of the series' most chilling endings. Rod Serling's script was filmed on videotape rather than film, giving everything a slightly unreal, stark quality that accidentally enhances the story's themes. The episode explores questions about consciousness and humanity that seem even more relevant today in our age of artificial intelligence. Number 3, The Shelter. Neighbors turn monster. What happens when a neighborhood's friendly facade crumbles the moment survival is at stake? This 1961 episode shows us, and it's not pretty. When a radio announcement warns of an approaching UFO, a doctor retreats to his bomb shelter with his family, and his neighbors literally try to break down the door to get in. Larry Gates plays the doctor watching his friendships disintegrate into desperate violence. What elevates this beyond simple morality play is how Serling shows the transformation. Jokes turn to pleading, pleading turns to threats, threats turn to action. These aren't monsters, they're ordinary people, revealing what desperation does to civilization's thin veneer. The twist that the alert was false, forcing everyone to face what they became, might be the cruelest ending in the series. Nobody died, but something vital was destroyed anyway. Trust, community, the belief that we'd help each other in crisis. This episode aired during peak Cold War paranoia when actual families were building bomb shelters. Serling was commenting directly on contemporary anxieties about what we'd become if the bombs fell. The claustrophobic tension and moral collapse make this genuinely frightening. Number 2, Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, Terror in the Sky. A man recovering from a nervous breakdown sees a creature on the airplane wing during a flight. This 1963 episode starring William Shatner became one of the most iconic Twilight Zone stories ever told, later remade for the 1983 film with John Lithgow. What makes this scary isn't the creature itself, a somewhat goofy-looking gremlin tearing at the engine, but Shatner's desperate, escalating panic. Richard Matheson wrote this masterpiece of psychological horror, trapping his protagonist in an impossible situation. He sees the danger, but no one believes him. Every time he tries to show someone, the creature hides. His wife and the flight crew think he's relapsing. We, the audience, know he's right, which makes his helplessness even more agonizing. The creature designed by MGM was criticized at the time, but it hardly matters. This episode works because of Shatner's performance and our empathy with his situation. When he finally shoots out the window to kill the creature and they sedate him, only the viewer knows he saved everyone. The ending, with the damaged engine proving his story, offers vindication but no satisfaction. You can be right and still be destroyed by others' disbelief. Number 1, Time Enough at Last. The cruelest ending. Burgess Meredith's Henry Bemis just wants to read. His nagging wife interrupts him, his boss berates him, the world won't leave him alone. Then nuclear war destroys civilization, and Bemis survives, finding himself alone with all the time in the world and an entire library at his disposal. For one glorious moment, he's happy. Then his glasses break. This 1959 episode, adapted by Rod Serling from a Lynn Venable short story, delivers perhaps the most devastating ending in television history. It's not traditionally scary. There's no monster, no killer. The horror is existential, watching a gentle man finally achieve his dream, only to have it snatched away by random chance. Meredith's performance makes us care deeply about Bemis, making that final moment of despair almost unbearable. The rubble of civilization shot in Bronson Canyon creates a post-apocalyptic landscape that influenced countless films to come. What makes this truly frightening is how arbitrary the tragedy is. It's not punishment, not cosmic justice, just terrible, meaningless luck. Sometimes the scariest thing is the universe's complete indifference to our hopes. So there you have it, 13 episodes that prove the Twilight Zone wasn't just a television show. It was a trip through the darkest corners of human fear and imagination. Which episode surprised you? Did we miss your personal nightmare? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this with your fellow Twilight Zone fans, and until next time, remember, there's a fifth dimension beyond that which is known to man, and these episodes are your roadmap to its scariest corners. Sweet dreams.